Hello, I'm Julia Cordova. Thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. I really appreciate it. So last week I had thought that it would be a tricky week because even though we closed the week super bullish looking right at the highs, it was also right at resistance. And what do you know, when we opened on Sunday night, we gapped down and then there was nary a tick going higher on all three of the indices before it just careened lower until later on in the week. Wednesday, we got the report early in the morning, East Coast time, and we got a bounce there at ES support. But Thursday, it went back below support. I had mentioned that support was risky, and Thursday went back below, but RTY, small caps, was the last player standing. It was the last one to get to its support. So I decided, because everything looked so dire when I was looking on social media, everybody was super bearish. I decided that I would take that long on Thursday at RTY support. And yay, we got the bounce there. And then we had a super bullish day on Friday. So this week, we are technically still below all of those supports. There is nothing bullish looking about where we are in terms of positioning in each of the indices. However, I am cautiously optimistic because of the way that the weekly wicks look and a couple other things that I'll share with you when I get to the charts. As far as metals and energy goes, I think that this is an all or nothing week. What does that mean? I think that everything will go up together or everything will go down together. So we'll see if I'm right about that, but I'll talk more about that on each of the charts. So you ready? All right. Let's talk charts. Okay, first of all, let's start off by looking at the ES weekly chart. So you can see that ES made a lower low and a lower high. See how it gapped down? It was like, wah. However, ES, interestingly enough, closed down the least for the week. So it had the lowest low, but also the strongest bounce. It's still, however, below that resistance. It's below the 9MA. So that's what I mean. It's not technically bullish yet, for sure. However, do you see, whenever you see these wicks together here, it's pretty likely, I think, that we should get a bounce in the next week. So I'm thinking that we close the week up from here, but keeping my mind and eyes open here in case we get back below this 3744, because I think that would be pretty bearish. I think if we got down there again, then we're likely going to come down to the bottom of this channel here at 3644. However, if we can make it above this resistance here at 3932, I think that's going to be a very good scalp, at least to 3964, and probably much higher than that. I think there is some previous gap here at 4010 to 4021. That's the only real resistance above this 3964 before the top of the channel. So that's how I'm looking for ES here. Above, bullish, below, caution, but I like my odds. Okay. All right, let's look at NQ, Nasdaq. Okay, Nasdaq, out of all the indices, the consolidation is just kind of wah, 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 right? But Nasdaq, at least, it looks like something. It looks to me like an ascending triangle. So the top of the ascending triangle is 12150, 12150. So above, bullish, below, caution is warranted. We closed the week pretty much right at what is going to be pink resistance next week. That is 12023.75. And then below, there's this blue support at 11859.75. That's kind of the max I want it to go down, but can it go down a little bit lower? Sure it can. But if it does, then okay, I wait until it gets back above 11,859, or I just take it knowing that it possibly could dump. So definitely below 11,601.75 is not bullish looking. It's bearish looking. And then potentially there's just not a lot here, right? You know me and my lines. What in the world? This is a huge area. Okay. So yeah, caution is warranted, definitely below this 11,859 and below 11,600 bearish. Okay, but above here, we've got this 12322 as interim before the orange resistance. But yeah, 12,150 is the key for this week, above bullish. Okay, let's look at small caps, RTY. This is the weekly over here. All right, so you can see that even though we got that bounce from just above weekly support, I took the long here because it was also daily support. So anytime you have both of them working together, you know, the odds are higher. And plus, when I looked on Twitter, it just, everybody was so bearish, and I don't blame them because we were below, you know, support in Q and ES. So yay for RTY, pulling up the entire blackjack table, if you will. But we still haven't seen what the dealer has. That's kind of this next week. So for me, it needs to get above 1770 for it to start looking more bullish. But the key for the week is 1798. That's really bullish above there to probably 1843.3 at a minimum. Okay, but from, you know, big picture again, eyes wide open, from a daily perspective, this looks like a triangle, right? So higher lows, lower highs. So just keep your eyeballs out for that. This is not the most beautiful looking triangle, but you know, that's sort of what it's doing. And ultimately that's a bear pennant, right? So again, a breakout upwards from a bear pennant would be super duper 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 bullish, but a break downwards would be not so much, very bearish. I mean, very bearish, right? Okay. Now let's look at, I just spit everywhere. Let's look at GDX. This is the weekly. Okay. So what did I mean? Oh, let me first talk about what did I mean by, you know, all or nothing. So basically gold and silver have not been acting as hedges for the market. Wallaby, zippity lippity. Okay, so gold and silver have not been acting as hedges for the market. And this is not the most it looks terrible, right? Last week I'd said that it was a hammer candle, but it didn't, you know, we didn't get them. It wasn't the most convincing thing. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Jada, Wallaby, stop. Zip. Zippity lippity. Thank you. Resume after my video. Okay, anyway, I talked about it not being the most convincing candle, even though it was off of the support. And sure enough, we breached the support last week and we filled a gap that we hadn't seen really the prices from since 2020. So, what makes me think that it's going to go up this week? Well, because I think that if the market goes up, I think that it will take gold with it. I think that it will start acting as a hedge because it's below support here. I know. Now, let me show you something really interesting. This is the daily chart for gold miners. This looks horrible, doesn't it? Yes, it does. But if you look at Thursday, look at the volume here on Thursday. Okay, this is pretty high volume and it's a pretty good looking candle. You know, compared to all this other volume, we really haven't seen volume like this since, I mean, the next highest would be here in March. Okay, so I think there's something going on there. I could be wrong, of course, but I think that's a very constructive looking candle with some constructive volume and some divergence here, right? I mean, yeah. Now, could it go lower? Yes, it could. All right. But I just think my odds are pretty good of it going higher here for the week. So we'll see. Above 25.98, it's going to look much better than it does now. If you're the kind of person, the kind of trader that wants to wait until things look a little better, until it shows you something, if it can break and hold above, let's call it 26 this week for GDX, then I think it's going to look like a fakey breaky. And I think it's going to be very, very, very bullish short term. Okay, so that's the area to watch is 26, 5.98. Could it close lower? Absolutely, it could. There's nothing that looks bullish about it, but I just think that if we go up, we go up. But if the indices do not go up, do I think GDX will go up? No, I don't think so. Unless there's something weird that happens, right? But I just think that it'll all go up together. Okay, let's look at gold. This is the gold weekly. See, this is nothing bullish about this looking thing, right? We are close to this next pink support at 1692.2. And then below that, if it breaches below, I have a support at 1665 and not a lot below that. I had to look around for that one. So we'll see how we do this week, but watching 1692.2 as support. But if you wait until 1730, if in fact we are going up, that's not horrible to wait for that, right? And see how we perform above 1730 before adding or investing. So 1730 is, it won't be near these, but for this week, I think that's key above there, 1730.1. Okay, let's look at silver. But again, if you've been following me on Twitch, you know that like I salivate when I see a good trade. I'm like, I don't know, but anyway, salivating right now. So I must see some good trades. Anyway, let's see. So on silver weekly here, we've fallen out of this channel, and then we fell from the redemption last week. And I had to stomp out of my silver trade again. I keep trying to catch it, but I keep not being able to. However, I tried it again. Sure did. I don't know. I'm tenacious, if nothing else. But this time I will stop out in profit if I stop out. So anyway, I'm looking at support here directly at 18.58. Then with the key pivot for this week being 18.895. If we can get above 18.895, bullish. All right, so actually, and however, if we can't get above and maintain this 18.58, then I've got 17.30 as the next area of support. But let me show you my hourly silver, because that's what I'm using to trade. So we closed right at resistance of 18.67. But look at these MAs. The 9 is curling, the 20 is curling, the 50 is starting to flatten. So I don't know if it will gap up and then go up or if it'll come back down, but we closed right at this resistance. So it's also RSI resistance. So we'll have to see how we do for silver on the hourly. All right, let me look at oil. All right, so this is the oil weekly chart on the left here. And I was pretty optimistic for this next week because look at this candle, right? It didn't get back above the key. It didn't get back above the MAs, but I like this wick. But I did say that I was going to make it prove itself this next week. And that was smart in retrospect, because just like the indices, it didn't it gapped down a little bit, but at least it ticked a little bit up and then just never came back. However, it did bounce from just right above this blue line here, and it's kind of a want bounce because it's not as good as the other bounce. However, it's still looking like it wants to turn and go upwards. So again, so I am not a macro person, certainly by training or by nature, but if you just think about it, if there is a squeeze in indices, or if that's what it is, then it's not actual buying, it's short covering. And the idea is that people are afraid of a recession. Then if oil goes up, that actually means that people are not as afraid of a recession anymore. So I think it means that people would have more confidence short term in the economy if oil actually goes up. Now, do I think it'll go up longer term? No, I do not. This is a short term conviction for me, at least right now. But I also like the fact that XOP, or oil stocks, they were an inside candle, but it made a higher low. So even though the indices looked, ES made a lower low, right? But oil stocks did not. Oil stocks held. And I had mentioned I didn't think it would be the most bullish thing if it hit this channel again, but it did hit the channel again, and then it freaking bounced. And that's this is a much better looking bounce than this, right? So I think what oil stocks are trying to tell us is that there's potentially more room for oil to go up. So this week, again, I'm taking a more conservative approach to oil, but 93.54 is support, and 104.56 for me is sort of the bull bear key for the week. I think that if we get above here, that'll start to look much better for next week and potentially the week after, or this next week and the week after. Okay. So from an XOP perspective, there is support at 112.24, and then the bottom of the channel is 109.60. And this time I'm serious about it hitting there, but you have to watch it when it gets there. I am still in my XOP long, so let's see how the week pans out. 129.23 is resistance for XOP, and above that would be a breakout. Okay, let's look at Natter. This is the Natty weekly chart. Wow, Natty. On the daily here, you can see what's going on. This is a inverse head and shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulder, right? And it broke out. The neckline is 6.839. The measured move from this head and shoulders is all the way to 8.33. But do I think it'll get there this week? No. And in fact, you know what's weird? When everything else goes up, is Natty going to go up too? I mean, I think most people would think so, but for me, it might actually try and close. It might go up, but it might try and close down because Natty is so weird. That's all I have to say about it, other than just follow the levels here. There's resistance at 7.191 on the weekly, and then the next resistance, let me put that in. Oops. There. There's sort of a minor resistance here at 7.752, but really it's 7.837 is the next one there. And yeah, so that's what we're doing there. Now, just as, let me look at bonds. Okay, so my plan last week had been to add back what I sold in this area here, but of course it didn't get there. And I saw it early in the week. It was going up. It was going straight up, and I'm like, it's not going to get there, is it? And so it didn't. But anyway, I have not added back yet. So now my plan is that if it comes back down here, I will add back. But if it doesn't, I'll wait until it's above resistance 142 area before I add that back, because I want to keep my profits profitable. Okay, so now let me look at the SOX really quickly. So a couple weeks ago, I had featured this, and basically what I said was it either bounces from here Or if it comes all the way down here to this 200 MA, then I think it's going to bounce, but then it's going to go lower. So it did bounce from there. It didn't touch this 200 MA, but now it's at resistance. So resistance for this week is 2704.56 on the SOX. If it can get above there, it's going to have to contend with these MAs, but it's going to start to look super freaking bullish because it's so depressed looking. Okay, it's very depressed. So if it can start to get and hold above 2704, I think potentially more people might come on board for it, at least for a squeeze. But it is resistance, so it might come back lower before higher. And this pivot this week, let me give you that, is ish. Okay, it's slightly higher, but about 2425 or so. Okay, let me just make it go up and see. That looks right. So 2425.15 is support here at this, well, yeah, at this channel if it gets there, but I prefer that it didn't. Okay, and that's it. So thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. I really appreciate it. Oh, make myself big. And I will see you on the interwebs. Okay, bye.